I got publicly humiliated at my girlfriend's company party. Tomorrow I'm walking in as their new CEO. So I've been dating Zoe for 3 months. We met through mutual friends, hit it off pretty quickly. She works in marketing at a mid-sized SaaS company called Braden & Co. Solutions. Good job, seems stable, she likes the people there. Here's the thing about my work, I'm what you'd call a turnaround specialist. I buy struggling companies, restructure them, get them profitable again. It's not something I advertise, especially when deals are in progress. NDAs, confidentiality agreements, the whole 9 yards. So when Zoe asked what I do, I kept it vague. Told her I'm self-employed, do business consulting and development work. She seemed to fill in the blanks herself, figured I was some freelance software guy working project to project. Didn't bother correcting her. We were new, having fun, and frankly my work doesn't make for great dinner conversation. Last Friday she invited me to her company's recognition night. Big event, ballroom at the Westin, open bar, awards ceremony. She wanted to introduce me properly to her colleagues. I said sure. Threw on a suit, showed up at 7. The night started fine. Met some of her work friends, made small talk, the usual corporate networking thing. Then we got to her table, that's where I met Brent. Brent's the sales lead. Mid-40s, loud laugh, firm handshake that goes on too long, you know the type. He immediately asked what I do. Business development consulting, I said. Oh yeah, which firm? I'm independent. That's when his whole demeanor changed. He leaned back, this smirk on his face. Independent, right, so, freelancing. You could say that, he looked at Zoe. Freelancing, that's what we're calling unemployed now. Couple people at the table laughed. Zoe smiled, didn't say anything. Now I'm employed, I said, keeping it light, just work for myself. Brent wouldn't let it go. Self-employed doing what exactly? Building websites, running Etsy shops, more laughs. I kept my mouth shut, took a drink. Zoe touched my arm. Landon, you don't have to get all defensive, Brent's just joking. Then she turned to the table. He's very humble about his work, sometimes too humble, you know. That stung worse than Brent's comments. She was telling me to play along, essentially. The night went downhill from there. Every time someone asked about my work, the table got this knowing look. Like they all agreed I was some kind of charity case Zoe was dating. A few of her coworkers made comments. Must be nice having that freedom, no real schedule. Zoe likes a man she can, you know, manage. My cousin does freelance web design too, really struggling right now with the economy. I stayed quiet. Zoe kept laughing along with them, said I should loosen up when I wasn't joining in. The worst came during dessert. Brent stood up with his drink, voice carrying across the table. Hey Landon, real talk. Tomorrow our company's getting a new CEO after this acquisition deal closes. You should send in your resume, man. Maybe they'll have an entry-level spot for you. Could be your big break into corporate life. The whole table cracked up. Even Zoe giggled behind her wine glass. I smiled, nodded. I'll think about it. What I didn't say, I know exactly who's taking over your company tomorrow, Brent. Around 10 p.m. my phone buzzed. Text from my corporate attorney. Tomorrow 9 a.m. acquisition announcement. You'll be addressing the leadership team first. Conference room setup confirmed. Board wants you there by 8:30. I excused myself to the bathroom. Sat in the stall for a minute, just processing. 3 months I've been working this deal. 3 months of due diligence, negotiations, restructuring plans. The purchase of Braden & Co. Solutions closes at midnight tonight. Come Monday morning, I'm walking into that building as the new owner, and Zoe has no idea. I went back to the table, stayed another hour. Let them make their jokes. Brent was on a roll, asking if I needed help updating my LinkedIn, if I knew how to use Excel, whether I'd ever worked in an actual office environment. Zoe squeezed my hand under the table but said nothing to stop it. Drove her home around midnight. She was tipsy, happy. Thanks for being such a good sport tonight. Brent can be a lot, but he means well. It's just office banter, you know. I just nodded. Kissed her goodnight at her door. Got home, checked my email. Acquisition finalized at 11:47 p.m. Braden & Co. Solutions is now owned by Pierce Holdings. My company. It's 3 a.m. now. Can't sleep. Have to be at their office in 5.5 hours to address the leadership team. Zoe's going to be in that room. So is Brent. I'm not vindictive. I bought this company because it's a solid turnaround opportunity with good bones but poor management. The culture issues are documented in the due diligence reports: high turnover, complaints about hostile work environment, sales numbers that don't add up. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to tomorrow morning. We'll update after the announcement. Edit. Holy hell, this blew up. Rip my inbox. To answer the common questions, no, I'm not going to fire Zoe out of revenge. That's not how I do business. Yes, the acquisition was in progress before I met her. Total coincidence. The due diligence flagged her department specifically, but I didn't know she worked there until we'd been dating a few weeks. Update 1. The announcement happened. It went exactly how you'd expect. Got to the office at 8:25 a.m. Monday. Met with the board first, quick alignment on messaging. At 9:00 sharp, we called the all-hands leadership meeting. The interim CEO, decent guy named Jamie who knew this was coming, started the announcement. As you all know, Braden & Co. has been acquired. I want to introduce you to the new ownership. Please welcome Landon Pierce, founder and CEO of Pierce Holdings. I walked into the conference room. You should have seen their faces. Brent literally froze mid-sip of his coffee, just held the cup there, mouth open. Zoe went pale, completely white. Mouthed what? At me from across the room. The department heads looked confused. They didn't know me from Friday night. But the handful of people who were at that table, they knew exactly what was happening. I kept it professional. Gave my standard acquisition speech. Talked about the restructuring plan, timeline for changes, my vision for the company's growth. Mentioned that I'm committed to building a culture where people are valued for their skills and character, not judged by superficial measures or job titles. Could feel Zoe staring at me the entire time. Wrapped up after about 20 minutes. Open for questions. Brent's hand shot up. Yes, Brent, I said. I'm sorry, when did this deal start? 4 months ago. Closed Friday at midnight. I watched him do the math. Watched him realize I'd been sitting at his table listening to him mock me while I was literally days away from owning his company. Any other questions? Silence. Great, department heads, I'll be scheduling one-on-ones this week. HR will send out the calendar. Meeting adjourned. I walked out. Zoe caught me in the hallway 30 seconds later. Landon, what the hell? Can't talk right now. Have a meeting with the CFO. You bought my company. I bought a company. Didn't know it was yours until we'd been dating a while. And you didn't think to mention this. I stopped walking, turned to face her. When should I have mentioned it? When we were getting drinks and you told your friends I was between jobs. Or maybe Friday night when your whole table was laughing about how I should apply for entry-level positions. She had the decency to look embarrassed. That was just, they were joking. Brent jokes with everyone. Right, jokes. I started walking again. I've got back-to-back meetings all week. We can talk later. Don't do this. Don't let Friday night. This isn't about Friday night. I looked at her. This is about the fact that you sat there and let it happen. Told me to be humble, to take the joke. Left her standing there. Spent the next 3 days in meetings. The CFO walked me through the books. They're worse than the preliminary audit showed. Found irregularities in the sales reports. Big ones. All pointing back to Brent's team. Also found something interesting. Zoe's department is performing well below benchmark. The marketing team had been flagged for restructuring before I even made the initial offer. Not because of her specifically, but the whole group has culture and productivity issues. Wednesday evening, Zoe texted, asked if we could talk. I told her I was busy with the transition, which wasn't a lie. She asked if we were still together. I said I needed time to think. Thursday morning, I requested HR pull Zoe's file. Standard procedure, I review all department heads and senior staff during acquisitions. What I found caught me off guard. She'd applied to Pierce Holdings 18 months ago for a senior marketing position. Her resume made it to the final rounds, but HR flagged her as not a cultural fit based on reference checks. Some concerns about integrity and accountability. I never saw her application, that's HR's domain. But someone at my company had already evaluated her character and found it lacking. Friday, I scheduled one-on-ones with the marketing team. Zoe was my last meeting of the day. She came in nervous, tried to make small talk. I kept it professional, asked about her projects, her team dynamics, her thoughts on department performance. Then I asked about Friday night. "What do you want me to say?" She looked frustrated. "I'm sorry, I already apologized." "I don't need an apology," I said. "I need to understand something. You knew those comments bothered me, you could see it, but you told me to take the joke, to be humble. Why?" She shifted in her chair. "It's just. That's how it works here, the culture. Brent's been here 8 years, he's got clout. You can't push back on guys like him without making things harder for yourself. So you chose the easier path." "I chose to keep the peace." I nodded. "Here's my problem, Zoe. I can work with someone who makes mistakes. I can work with someone who's learning. But I can't work with someone who knows the right thing to do and chooses not to do it because it's uncomfortable. This is about us, isn't it? You're punishing me. This is about culture, about the kind of environment I'm building here. And right now, you're part of the problem I'm trying to fix." I told her she'd be placed on a performance improvement plan. 90 days to demonstrate leadership, accountability, and cultural alignment. Her manager would have the details by Monday. She left without another word. That evening I fired Brent. Not because of Friday night, because the audit found 23 instances of falsified sales reports, inflated numbers, and misrepresented client contracts. Security escorted him out at 5:45 p.m. Zoe texted me that night, said I was being unfair, that I was letting personal feelings affect business decisions, that she expected better from someone who claims to be professional. I didn't respond. It's been almost a week now. The company's adjusting to the changes. Some people are nervous, some are relieved. Found out Brent had been bullying the junior sales staff for years. 3 people have already thanked me privately for letting him go. Zoe and I aren't speaking. She's doing her PIP. From what I hear, she's telling people I'm on a power trip, that I'm using my position to get back at her. Maybe she's right. Maybe I should have handled this differently, but I keep thinking about that table, about how easy it was for her to laugh along, how she didn't hesitate to choose their approval over my dignity. And I think, this is exactly the kind of person who fails reference checks. Update 2. Things escalated this week. Need to document this while it's fresh. Monday morning, I met with the HR director and legal counsel. Wanted a full breakdown of the culture complaints that came up during due diligence. The list was longer than I expected. Turns out Braden and Co. had been hemorrhaging junior talent for 18 months. Exit interviews kept mentioning toxic leadership and boys' club mentality. Most complaints pointed to the sales department, but marketing came up too. Specific mentions of people not speaking up when they witness problems, enabling bad behavior through silence. One exit interview from 7 months ago specifically mentioned watching a marketing manager laugh along while a sales lead belittled a colleague at a company event. Didn't name names, but the timeline matched up with other incidents. That's when I decided to dig deeper into Zoe's track record. Found 3 instances where she'd been present for HR violations, witnessed them directly, and said nothing. A harassment complaint that got swept under because no one would corroborate the victim's story, even though 5 people, including Zoe, were in the room when it happened. Performance reviews where she marked people down for not fitting the culture without explaining what that meant. Small things individually, but together they painted a picture. She wasn't the villain, but she wasn't an ally either. She was the person who looked the other way because it was easier. Tuesday afternoon, Zoe requested a meeting. Came to my office at 3 p.m. "We need to talk," she said. "Not about work, about us." I leaned back in my chair. "There is no us, Zoe, not anymore. Because of one stupid night, because I didn't defend you to Brent, because you showed me who you are when things get uncomfortable, and I believed you." She sat down without being invited. "You're not being fair. You're taking one moment and defining my entire character by it." "It's not one moment." I pulled up the file on my computer. "You had 3 chances to corroborate an HR complaint about harassment. You chose not to. You marked people down in reviews for vague culture fit reasons. You've been here 4 years and haven't reported a single instance of misconduct, despite being present for multiple violations. That's That's how corporate environments work. You pick your battles. No, I said. That's how toxic environments work. Because people like you let them. Her face went hard. You know what? Fine, fire me, get it over with. This whole PIP thing is just you drawing it out anyway. I'm not firing you. You're going to complete your 90 days and show me whether you can actually lead or you're going to fail on your own merit. Either way, it's your choice. She stood up. I thought you were different, but you're just like every other guy with a little power. It goes straight to your head. Maybe, I said, or maybe I'm just done accepting mediocrity from people who should know better. She left, slammed the door. Wednesday morning, things got messier. Got a call from my attorney. Brent had filed a wrongful termination claim. His lawyer was arguing I fired him in retaliation for comments made at a private event, that the sales audit was retroactive justification. My attorney laughed when he read the claim. He falsified sales reports. You have documentation going back 8 months. This is going nowhere. Good, send him the audit results, all of them. Thursday, I met with the junior sales rep who'd been working under Brent. Kid named Jamie, 26, nervous energy. He'd been with the company 14 months. I just wanted to say thank you, he said, for what you did. You mean firing Brent? Yeah, he made my life hell. Took credit for my deals, blamed me when his fake numbers didn't match projections, told me I'd never make it in sales if I didn't toughen up. Jamie looked down. I was planning to quit, had my resignation letter drafted. You staying now? If you'll have me. I know I'm still learning, but I want to try, actually try, without someone sabotaging me. I promoted him to interim sales lead that afternoon. Probably too fast by conventional standards, but the kid had something Brent never did, actual integrity. Friday, Zoe's manager came to me. Said Zoe was struggling with the PIP requirements, specifically the part about demonstrating leadership in difficult conversations. She'd been asked to address some team dynamics issues, push back on some unproductive meetings, call out some problematic behavior. She wasn't doing it. She keeps saying it's not her place, her manager explained. That she doesn't want to make waves. I nodded. Keep documenting. Give her the support she needs to succeed, but hold the line on the standards. This morning I found something else. Something I wasn't looking for. I was reviewing old company files, trying to understand the culture that had developed here, when I came across Zoe's original application to Pierce Holdings. I knew HR had flagged it, but I'd never seen the actual reference notes. One of her former colleagues had written, Zoe is talented at execution but struggles with accountability. She tends to align with whoever holds power in the room rather than what's right. Would not recommend for leadership positions requiring independent judgment. That reference was from 3 years ago, long before I met her, long before Friday night. I sat there looking at that note for a long time. This wasn't about revenge or hurt feelings anymore. This was about patterns, about someone who'd been showing the same character traits for years, and no one had held her accountable long enough for her to change. Called my executive coach that evening, talked through the whole situation, the acquisition, the relationship, the decisions I've been making. Wanted to make sure I wasn't letting personal feelings cloud my judgment. Here's my question, he said. If you'd never dated her, if Friday night never happened, what would you do about an employee with her track record? Put her on a PIP. Give her a real chance to change with clear standards and support. If she doesn't meet them, let her go. Then that's what you do. So that's what I'm doing. The PIP continues. Zoe has 63 days left to show she can lead with integrity. I hope she does. I genuinely hope she proves everyone wrong and becomes the kind of leader this company needs, but I'm not betting on it. As for us personally, that's done. I called her last night, told her we needed to officially end things. She agreed, said she couldn't be with someone who held grudges this hard. I didn't argue. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am holding a grudge. Or maybe I just finally learned what I should have known all along. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The company's doing better. Morale is up. 3 people have already applied for Brent's old position, all internal candidates who have been waiting for a chance. We're restructuring the sales comp plan to reward actual performance instead of whatever Brent was doing. It's a mess, but it's a mess moving in the right direction. One day at a time. Edit. Some of you are asking why I'm posting updates about my ex-girlfriend's job performance on Reddit. Fair question. The answer is, because this stopped being about her the moment I realized she represents a much bigger problem. This is about how toxic cultures persist because good people stay silent, how enablers are just as responsible as perpetrators. Also, it's Friday night and I'm working late in an empty office instead of having a life. So yeah, I'm on Reddit. Final update. Quick update because some shit just happened that I need to process. First, the business stuff. Zoe's 90-day PIP ended yesterday. She didn't make it. Her manager documented multiple instances where she failed to demonstrate leadership or accountability. Missed deadlines, avoided difficult conversations, kept trying to work around the requirements instead of meeting them. HR gave her 2 weeks notice this morning. She'll be gone by the end of the month. Found out she's been telling people I fired her out of spite, that the whole PIP was a sham to get revenge for dumping me. Her friends at the company, the ones left from the old culture, are eating it up. There's a whole narrative now about the scorned ex-boyfriend CEO abusing his power. I let it go. Anyone who believes that version either doesn't know the facts or doesn't want to. Not worth my energy. But here's where things got interesting. This afternoon around 4 p.m. there was a knock on my office door. Jamie, the kid I promoted to sales lead, standing there looking nervous. "Sir, you got a minute?" "Sure. What's up?" He came in, closed the door behind him, pulled an envelope from his jacket. "I need to show you something. I've been going back and forth on whether to bring this up, but after what I heard about Zoe leaving, I think you should see it." He handed me the envelope. Inside was a printed photograph. Not professional quality, looked like someone had taken it on a phone and printed it out, but the image was clear enough. It was from that Friday night at the gala. The photograph showed our table. Brent in the middle, mid-laugh, arm extended, pointing at me. Zoe next to him, wine glass up, smiling. Me on the other side, face neutral, hands folded on the table. You could see the whole dynamic right there, the mockery, the complicity, the quiet dignity. "Where'd you get this?" "One of the catering staff that night," Jamie said. "Guy named David. He's worked a bunch of our company events. He saw what was happening at your table and it bothered him. He took the picture because," Jamie paused, "because he'd seen Brent pull that same act before. Thought someone should have documentation." "Documentation of what?" "Hostile work environment. That's what David called it. He said he'd served at 3 company events over the past 2 years and Brent always acted like this. Always picked someone to target, always got the table to pile on. David kept photos because he thought someday someone might need proof." I looked at the picture again, studied Zoe's face. The easy smile, the casual participation in someone else's humiliation. "David heard you were the new owner," Jamie continued. "He wanted you to have this. Said you handled things with class and that people with power don't usually choose decency when they could choose payback." I didn't know what to say to that. Jamie shifted his weight. "Look, I know Zoe's leaving. I know people are saying stuff, but I was at that table too. Junior guy kept my mouth shut, didn't want to make waves. I watched the whole thing. And what they're saying about you now, it's not true. You gave her the same chance you gave everyone else. She just didn't take it." After Jamie left, I sat there with that photograph for a long time, called my attorney, asked if this would have helped with Brent's wrongful termination claim. "Wouldn't have hurt," he said. "Photo evidence of hostile workplace behavior, company event witnesses, but we didn't need it. The falsified reports were enough. So this picture doesn't change anything." Legally, no, the case was already dead, but if you're asking whether it validates your decision-making process, yeah, it does. I had HR add the photo to Brent's termination file anyway, just in case he tries to come back with another claim. But the thing that's sticking with me isn't the legal angle, it's what Jamie said, about people with power choosing decency. Because here's what I've learned over the past few weeks: I could have destroyed Zoe. Could have fired her day one, could have made her life miserable, could have used my position to make sure she never worked in this industry again. I had the power to do all of that. I chose not to. I gave her 90 days, clear standards, full support from her manager, every resource she needed to succeed. She failed on her own merit, and that's on her. Her exit interview is scheduled for next Friday, standard practice, done by external HR consultant, completely by the book. The company's doing well. Revenue's up 12% from when I took over. Sales pipeline is healthy now that the numbers are real. We've hired 6 new people, all culture fits, all excited to be here. The junior employees who were getting bullied under Brent are thriving. Culture takes time to change, but we're moving the right direction. As for the personal stuff, I'm good, really. Went on a date last week, actually. Woman I met at a business conference owns a small consulting firm. We got coffee, talked for 3 hours, hit it off. Seeing her again Saturday. She asked what I do for work. I told her the truth from the start. I buy companies and fix them. She nodded, said that sounds complicated, and we moved on to other topics. Felt good to just be honest about it. The Braden & Co. building is starting to feel less like an acquisition and more like an actual company. My company. It's satisfying in a way I didn't expect. Someone asked me last week what I actually gained from all this. They meant it sarcastically, like what did I get out of the drama with Zoe, was it worth it? But I've been thinking about that question seriously. I gained clarity about what I'm willing to tolerate, about what matters to me in a partner, about the kind of leader I want to be. I gained confirmation that my instincts about people are usually right, even when I want them to be wrong. David the caterer said people with power don't usually choose decency. Maybe that's true. But sitting here now, looking at this photograph of the worst moment of this whole situation, I'm glad I did. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing you really own, how you treat people when you have the power not to. Zoe leaves in 2 weeks. I'll be professional, fair, and completely disengaged. She'll get her severance, her references will be honest but not vindictive, and she'll move on to whatever's next. And I'll keep building something better here. That's the update. Thanks for following along, Reddit. Time to close the laptop and get back to actual work.